The squeeze play is on, and it's about time too, but to get the game, we've got to deal with the pain, and that pain is in the form of severe weather and flash flooding. I'll show you who is just most likely to see those conditions and when, plus the tropical Atlantic seems to be caught in a temporal causality loop. Is there anything out there that can break that pattern? Well, we're going to check it out. And this weekend's weather is likely to take many of us to a place that we want to come back from. But how long can we stay there? That's the question. We're going to get into all of that, plus take a look at space weather, test your weather IQ, and on this last day of July, we're going to look ahead to the month of August and see what it has in store. Welcome in, folks. We've got all of that and more. We're going to kick things off, though, with your tropical update. Hi everybody, welcome into Cold Rain's Weather World. Thank you so much for spending your time with me. So many of you have subscribed over the last 2 weeks. We've had a lot of growth here, and I sincerely thank you for that. If you haven't yet signed on, consider doing so. Hit the like button and ring the bell so that you can get notified when I put these videos out, which I do every day. The models change every day, the weather changes every day, and I do my best to keep you on top of it so you can be prepared for what's going on. Most importantly, though, if there's anything I can pray over for you about, please put that in the comments section. My son Cole Drizzle had a good doctor appointment yesterday, so we'll praise the Lord for that. And if there's anything I can pray over for you, please put it in the comments. Anything else you want to talk about, read all those and respond to them, every single one. So anyway, thanks for being here. We're going to kick things off with the tropical Atlantic and check out our satellite picture. Look what it's showing. Nothing. That's right, folks. There ain't a thing happening out here in the Atlantic. We've got a little swirl right here that's producing nothing but maybe a few waves. Here's a tropical wave coming off the coast of Africa. That looks like the most interesting thing out here. Got some frontal zone activity, a little bit of energy moving off of North and South Carolina. Not much going on, a little activity in the Bay of Campeche. Waves seem to be traversing South America, Central America, emerging off into the Pacific and doing some stuff over there. The Pacific has been on fire, but we have not seen anything going on in the Atlantic, nor do we expect to see anything going on in the Atlantic over the next couple of days. What is going on is a big high pressure ridge sending tons of dry air down into the main development region, which is in this area way down here between Africa and the Antilles, but nothing going on. I'm going to put this into motion, and I'm going to draw here. Look, check this out. I'm going to draw the main development region, the MDR as we like to call it, right here. This is where tropical waves come off of Africa. They come on through, they come east to west, and they move across the Atlantic, and they develop or they don't develop. But that's what happens. Here is another region that we can watch right here off the southeast coast. We'll keep our eyes on those two regions as we put this along. This is the European. We're going to take it all the way out to the end of the run, 2 weeks out, folks, roughly. So here we go. What do we see? We see a little low pressure coming off the east coast associated with that cold front. More convection out here, a couple of areas of convection and thunderstorm activity working into the Antilles. We'll see some rain get into the DR and Hispaniola and places like that. There's our main development region. A lot of rain down there, a couple of waves coming off and not much going on. A little low pressure, a little couple of waves coming off of that stalled front off the east coast. Move this on out. We get into Tuesday, August the 5th. Still nothing happening, just waves of low pressure coming off, not doing anything, not much going on here in the southeast as well. Here we go. We're out here Friday, the August the 8th, and the clock is ticking, 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 and we seem to be in the same loop we've been in. Waves come off, they wax and they wane, but they never develop into anything. And then off the southeast coast, we're not seeing anything there until we get way on out here, and we still don't see anything. So European runs all the way. This is the 0Z run from last night, runs all the way out. GFS is similar, except the GFS has a few low pressure systems developing here off the North and South Carolina coast and shoots them harmlessly out to sea. Nothing going on according to any of the good operational model guidance. So no, not going to spend any more time showing you any more of those maps because it's worthless. Here's the main development region down here in pink. This is the tropical Atlantic again. There's the southeast coast. And as I move this along, this is the wind shear anomaly map. It shows you where the wind shear in the Atlantic is higher than normal or lower than normal as we go through time. Reds is higher, blue is lower. If you want to see tropical development, you need whites and blues and not reds. And we got lots of reds. It looks like somebody has cut themselves on this map and bled all over it. And if we go on out here into time, Monday, August the 4th, Tuesday, August the 5th, look what happens. We start to see a relaxation in the winds out here. Well, that's a good thing for tropical development. Not so much here off the southeast coast. We've got a trough setting up over the eastern U.S. that will deflect anything out. And we get way on out, Friday, August the 8th, still looking really, really good out here in the Atlantic from a shear standpoint. And that just maintains itself all the way across the rest of the run pretty much as we get on out here toward August the 14th. Things kind of trend toward normal a lot of times with these ensemble runs, but that's the European ensemble, and it develops a favorable Atlantic from a wind shear standpoint. What about dry air? Well, let's check it out. That's why you're here, folks. We're going to check it out. If there's something to check out, cold rain, we'll check it out. And right now we're going to look at the dry air as we go on out. This is the European again here, so we're going to see the dry air. High pumping dry air off of Africa, not so much dust, but dry air. Tropical systems do not like mid-level dry air. We see a little bit of moisture. The brown, by the way, is the dry air. The green is the moisture. There's moisture coming off with these waves. Plenty of moisture off the southeast coast along that front. It's just pooling and condensing out there, forming clouds and thunderstorms. There's a wave coming across, more wave activity coming across. We get on it here to Thursday, August 7th. Plenty of dry air still invading the MDR. Look at this, just dry air. There's some moisture coming off, but it absorbs some of this dry air. Tropical systems do not like that, and it just continues to hang out. As long as we got a lot of dry air out here, folks, we're not going to see all that much in the way of tropical development. And there is our MJO. We're watching this develop. So as we get toward middle August, this thing starts to move into phase 2. This is phase 2 down here. We've been watching this. Phase 2, phase 3, good, better phases for tropical development. And so we're seeing some improvement in this particular index as we go on out in time. This, my friends, is the sea surface temperature change over the last 7 days. Oranges are positives and blues are where it's gotten cooler. And look here in the Atlantic, from the southeast coast through the Caribbean out to the central Atlantic, really almost all the way to the coast of Africa, we're looking at a big area of positive change. So the Atlantic is warming up and there's not been anything to overturn the water and disturb it. However, the Gulf right in here has gotten a little bit cooler, probably because we've seen some activity in the Gulf. But that's what's going on there, folks. That's your tropical update. What does the National Hurricane Center see? Absolutely nothing over the next 7 days, just like cold rain sees absolutely nothing happening out here over the next 7 days. It's a blank slate. We're going to give it some more time as we get into middle August. I think we're going to see things turn around. But for now, all is quiet in the tropics, but you have a weather IQ question that you've got to get prepared for because it's coming at you right now. Then we're going to take a look at the severe weather outlook. Continuing our tropical weather question series, got an easy one for you today, maybe. What ingredient is not necessary for tropical cyclone formation? Not necessary now. Low wind shear, warm sea surface temperatures, moist mid-troposphere, it's just the middle part of the lower atmosphere, or cold ocean water. Which one is not an ingredient that we would expect to see present for tropical cyclone formation? If you know the answer, type it in the comment section. If you don't know, hang out until the end of the show. I will reveal it to you. But now I'm going to reveal to you the severe weather outlook. We've got to start here with the alerts map, and as you can see, we have been chopping these heat advisories down north to south so that everything that's left is just across the southern tier of the country here. Heat advisories up from many parts of the south, but extreme heat warnings up where dew points are approaching 80 or even exceeding it, sending heat index values soaring into the 1-teens to around 120 for the lower Mississippi Valley here. It's terrible, folks, but some of that is coming to an end. Flash flood watches up for the mid-Atlantic where we could see 1 to 2 inches of rain easily, with some of these thunderstorms locally 3 to 5 inches of rain as they train over and move slowly, dropping tremendous rain in a very short period of time in this tropical air mass. Here's our big 3 up here: Minnesota, Wisconsin, and Michigan, all under air quality alerts for that smoke coming out of central Canada. We need to tariff that smoke because they are sending it in here like nobody's business, folks. It is just nasty up here. Sorry about that. High pressure is going to sit here and rotate that smoke back around, so it's not going to go anywhere really. Then we've got red flag warnings up here in the northwest. We get these low precipitation thunderstorms to develop. They don't drop a lot of rain, but they drop a lot of wind and lightning, and so you could see some fire weather concerns because it's been very, very dry and hot, windy conditions in Utah, and then extreme heat warnings down here in around Phoenix and Tucson for temperatures running into the 1 teens. There's your air quality. Purple showing up is definitely not good. Red is major impact, so stay indoors. Orange is bad too everywhere. So we've got the eastern Dakotas to northern Iowa impacted by the smoke. If you're bothered by it, even if you're not bothered by it, it's very unhealthy air. Stay out of the outdoors. If you can, stay inside. It's probably a more efficient way to get that phrase out, Jason. All right, Dallas, not too good around Dallas either. Bad air quality here. It's a little bit stagnant down here in Houston, and of course Los Angeles and up to New York as well. There's your smoke map. Look at this coming out of here, folks. We have just got smoke to beat the band coming out of central Canada, and it just rotates around. You can see that high pressure moves in, clockwise flow around that high pressure, just traps it, sends it back and forth around. Eventually, this trough will reinforce itself, or this ridge, sorry, up here will reinforce itself and then eventually start to kick east, and so we may see those surface winds kick on east as well. Now, severe weather-wise this afternoon, a couple of hot spots in the mid-Atlantic. We're going to see a low pressure form, and that's going to add a little bit of extra oomph to the mid-levels. That helps to organize some of these thunderstorms as they form later today. It's going to be very, very unstable here in around this boundary and along in the south of it. Some parts of Arkansas, Louisiana could see a few isolated, widely scattered wind gusts as well. And down here in the front range of the Rockies, Casper, all the way down toward Denver, we could see plenty of instability again, and showers and thunderstorms develop. Some of those will be severe. Tornado risk is very low today. Wind is the primary threat in all of these areas, and hail out here in the west, where it's a little bit better in terms of your lapse rates and freezing conditions aloft to produce hail. Tomorrow, just a slight risk or a marginal risk rather, down the front range of the Rockies over here and working out into the plains. And then here in the southeast, as that front continues to move in, got a little pocket of energy here that will potentially help to organize a few clusters of thunderstorms, but we're going to see precipitation loading really be a problem with this high moisture content. You get these big downdrafts coming out, boom, loaded with precipitation. They come out fast and hard and heavy and spread out. Get some wind gusts, and on an isolated basis is what we're looking at primarily. Here is the satellite display this morning. This is actually the water vapor loop, and you can see big, there's our front stretching all the way back kind of like this, and we've got a trough up here. We've got another trough working into the northwest, big anticyclone sitting out here over the central plains, and air is just sort of stagnant under that, and we've got a little impulse working in as well ahead of the front into the southeast this afternoon. Oranges and yellows are the dry air, folks, but you can see plenty of cloud cover back through New England and a couple of areas bringing rain to various parts of the country this morning. Things are kind of quieting down, but they will heat back up later this afternoon in terms of scattered showers and thunderstorms. There's our threat area. There's our boundary. Anywhere along and near this boundary, you're going to find a focus for thunderstorm activity anywhere in this green. And as we look through toward tomorrow, slips a little farther south. This front is not going to come through blasting through like a big Arctic front, get on out of here in 24 hours. It's going to take its time. It ain't going to come through with his hair on fire, that's for sure. It's going to take some pictures along the way, take a couple of bathroom breaks, and you better keep those umbrellas handy for that, folks, because the rain's going to come down really, really quick. It might even stop by grandma's and get a gravy biscuit and a glass of iced tea. So this thing is going to slowly crawl over the southern tier the next couple of days, bringing some showers and heavy rain as well. Here's your mid-level flow. There's the ridge way up here poking up into Canada. That's going to continue to build little flat ridging across the southern tier and little pockets of wind. There's a trough coming in, another trough up here with some wind energy. Move this along over the next couple of days. You can just see how the little pockets of wind providing extra support out here in the lee of the Rockies for thunderstorm activity. There's our front and trough. It kind of moves through. As we go through the weekend, pushes south slowly. The flow kind of becomes parallel, so we're not getting a whole bunch of northerly push to that front. It's going to kind of stall out over the south. But anywhere north of this trough and along this trough is where we're going to find cooler temperatures as we get on into Saturday and finally into Sunday as well. That's your flow. It sort of flattens out over here as that ridge pancakes, and we get a little bit more energy into the plains. Could spark off a few showers and thunderstorms as we work through the weekend out here. This afternoon, here's the future radar. We start to see the thunderstorms fire up around 2 o'clock. So early to mid-afternoon, we'll start to see things get underway out here in the mid-Atlantic. Scattered thunderstorms all the way back through the Mississippi Valley and this tropical air mass and the front range of the Rockies working into Kansas as well. And that's not Kansas. That's I'm looking at Kansas and I'm saying, looking at South Dakota and I'm saying Kansas. So that's what we're doing, folks. We got our states all backwards jumbled up. But there's the front. You can see that lining up very nicely here, and along that's where we're finding thunderstorm activity through the end of the day, the afternoon. There is the focus for the heavy rain. You can see that low pressure really enhancing the rainfall up in the mid-Atlantic. Line of thunderstorms moving out of the Rockies in our threat area here. May have to expand that slight risk into Nebraska over time if this model and other modeling continues to signal this line, but everything will dissipate overnight and then fire back up again tomorrow along that front. You can see it's firing a little farther to the south, but we're going to see heavy rain come out of this. Could see some precipitation loading down here, and again a few thunderstorms here in the front range of the Rockies and the foothills down into the plains, and we'll see all of that activity dissipate, wane as it goes through the night on Friday night, heading into Saturday morning, and everything kind of fires back up again Saturday afternoon in the same places, a little farther south though in the southeast. That's what's going on. Here comes the squeeze, folks. Look at this. Friday afternoon, we see that brown working way into the northern tier. We've seen this, the red's getting pushed and shunted off to the south. There it comes, push, push, push. Squeeze that air mass, squeezing everything out of it as it does. So that front's coming through. It's squeezing those dew points to the south. It's squeezing the high tropical content, moisture content down to the south, and squeezing every bit of rain out of the atmosphere it can with those thunderstorms as it moves through. That persists Sunday and even holds on into Monday before things kind of rebound back, folks. And as we squeeze the precipitation out, we're going to see a couple of areas of potential flash flooding up here in the mid-Atlantic. Most of this is the 3-day rainfall total from the Weather Prediction Center, and there you have high totals up here, potentially as much as I said 3 to 5 inches in spots, and then down here in the southeast, particularly along the coastal region. So we could have a wet go of it if you're heading out for the beaches this weekend, and we're going to take a look at that here coming up next in the Weekend Outlook. All right, Saturday morning, waking up to nice high pressure in control up here in the Midwest, working into the Northeast. Eventually, the 2/3 of the eastern United States is going to be in fall-like conditions, and we're not going to want to give that up so easily. But look at this. This frontal zone has pushed into the southeast, and we'll see thunderstorms fire up again, showers in the afternoon, but mostly south of North Carolina and Tennessee, down here in South Carolina, Georgia, Alabama, and Mississippi, down into Louisiana, Texas. You'll see some thunderstorms, especially eastern Texas, as we head on through the day Saturday, and off in the front range of the Rockies as well, over the Rockies and the high plains too. You see the beaches down here in the southeast. Not a great afternoon for beach goers in the south. Going through the overnight hours, things will calm down and make it a little cluster moving through the plains. But other than that, not looking bad. Sunday, things are a little bit farther south in the southeast. A couple of showers and thunderstorms to start your day out here in the central plains, but nothing too bad. We have 1 or 2 severe weather reports, but I'm not expecting any widespread severe weather outbreak over the weekend. Just showers and thunderstorms along the Gulf Coast and the southern parts of the Gulf Coast states. And then we'll see another band of activity kind of slip in with a frontal zone as we go into the overnight hours and into Monday, but up in the northeast and then over in the west, a few scattered showers and thunderstorms with some general troughing in that part of the world. Temperature-wise, it is going to be looking good, folks. Fall conditions here on Thursday already setting up across much of the northern tier. You can see where the frontal zone is very, very nicely. Warm and muggy, where you've got these yellows, particularly as we get on a little bit south of those. Hot here in the southern plains, 104 in Dallas, and then 111 back here in Phoenix and the interior northwest as well. Not too bad. Tomorrow, that front pushes farther south, 60s, 70s up here in the northeast, 70s in the northern sections of the nation's midsection, and down here again and across the south, that's where the hot muggy air is. Really hot out here in the desert southwest. That's not going anywhere. Very nice along the west coast of California up I-5. Should be a nice drive getting on up into the northwest. It should be pleasant up there for you all as well. Same again on Saturday, and just getting cool here. 80s all the way down into the southeast, even some 70s back in the foothills where I live on Saturday. Plenty of cool weather across the north, and not so hot in Texas as well until we get out to Sunday and that heat builds again. No relief in the desert southwest under the core of that ridge. Cool in the northwest, cool across the north, and not too bad as we get on out here into the northeast, and wedging down east of the Alps brings 80s and drier conditions all the way into the southeast. That is going to feel wonderful, folks. How long is that going to hold on? We're going to check that out here in a minute. But look at this beach forecast. If you're traveling to Atlantic City, going to be a nice Saturday and Sunday. Highs in the low 80s, warm conditions in the air, but not so much with the water temperatures. Lower 60s. That's going to be chilly. Get on down to Wrightsville Beach, a little bit farther south, 70% chance of showers and thunderstorms on Saturday, a little bit less so on Sunday. Highs around 80. Temperatures in the water, though, in the mid 80s. When it's not thunderstorming on you, you need to wear that sunscreen because we are going to see high UV index values. Miami Beach, 91, 91, 90, and 91. So pretty much a carbon copy every single day. A chance of thunderstorms and highs in the 90s. Water temperatures around 90 degrees, so not bad there. And then over the course of the weekend for Miramar Beach, 80% chance of showers and thunderstorms Saturday and Sunday, highs in the upper 80s, water temperatures again near 90. That's your weekend forecast. Now we're going to take a look at the long range and see what August has in store. I'm going to do a little bit more analysis and give you a better August forecast as we get on in toward next week when all the long range models have kind of updated and I've been able to kind of pour over it. But in the meantime, I'll show you what the CFS is saying. It usually does a better job guessing the next month toward the end of the previous month, and since we're at the end of July, no better time to look at it than now. But here is the 500 millibar height anomaly pattern. Big cutoff here in Alaska, shooting a big ridge up into western Canada. Central portion of the country here under a big ridge as well. As we go on out the next couple of days, the U.S. ridge kind of flattens out. We get a little bit of a flatter flow here. Still some ridging in the west. You can see that. That sends a trough toward the east where you would expect to find cooler temperatures and maybe a little bit more in the way of unsettled weather, particularly in the southeast. And we do, and there's that big ridge up in Canada. Watch what happens as we go on out in through the weekend, okay? That ridge kind of flattens out here, certainly flattens out in the United States. In the Four Corners region, we got a little bit more troughing out here. And watch what happens as we get on out into early next week. Get a piece of energy reinforcing that trough in the Mississippi Valley. And if that happens, we're going to see some rain pick up really in earnest across the southeast. Another trough working in here, kind of got a split flow going on. One part of the jet's going up in Canada at least at 500 millibars, and another piece is going across the southern tier of the country. And there we go. Big ridge building in central Canada. That should keep some of that wildfire smoke out of the the northern tier of the country as we get on out into mid next week. And there's that ridge, and troughing still persists in the east. And there's a signal for troughing continue to remain in the east, ridging continuing to remain in the west. Little troughing coming in the northwest, sending that ridge east in Canada. That ridge, now we've got two ridge centers. Look at that big ridge up here in Canada and another big ridge down here in the United States. This zone here from the northwest to the southeast is where I would expect to find temperatures that are at least either side of normal, if not maybe slightly below in some spots. Higher than normal out here in the southwest and in Texas, and then higher than normal up in Canada as well. So that's what persists as we go on out in time. Look at this. We get way out at the end of the period. The GFS ensembles remarkably are in agreement with this. General ridging out here in the west, general troughing out here in the east, and that would mean more precipitation out here in the southeast and along the east coast. And as systems work through the plains, we'll continue to see that pattern. This is much the same as what we've seen so far this year, and less rain in the desert southwest all the way up to the northwest where you need it. It's been very dry out there. There is the CFS for August. General same pattern. Ridging in the west, troughing generally speaking in the east where we would find the best risk for near normal temperatures and more active weather. So unfortunately for drought-stricken areas, I'm not seeing a lot of relief in the August forecast so far, but we'll look at that a little bit more in detail as more data comes out over the next few days. Now we're going to take a look at space weather and wrap things up. This is our star, and our star is rotating on its axis in this direction, and this is a trans-equatorial coronal hole. That's important because it can enhance solar wind, and this is not nearly though as intense as some of the other ones that we've seen as trans-equatorial because it crosses the equator of the sun. So not really looking at a lot going on here with the sun. We were seeing some sunspots rotate in. 4165 is a new cluster. It's kind of large, but it's not very complex, so not really looking at a lot going on with that. 4161 is kind of dying out, so nothing going on here. No real big risk of solar flares. We could see some solar filaments send the CME our way, but outside of that, not a lot of activity here on the sun to be concerned about. Not a lot of earthquake activity or volcanic activity to be concerned about right now either. We've had a few aftershocks from that 8.8 megaquake, but certainly have not seen anything else that has disturbed a lot of people, geologically speaking. There is the moon getting back up to a half moon. We're in the first quarter, 40.9%, going up to a full sturgeon moon here on August the 9th. Remember, the Perseids peak August the 12th and 13th, I believe. So hopefully you can see a little bit of that, but the moon is going to be full, and that could contaminate things. And there is our fall countdown. We are looking forward to fall. 53 days until calendar fall. Less than that until meteorological fall, which starts September the 1st. I cannot wait for fall, folks. And that is that. There is Google, and we're going to end the show with the answer to today's weather IQ question. Question was, what ingredient is not necessary for tropical cyclone formation? And out of all four possible answers, the correct answer is D, cold ocean water. We certainly don't want to see cold ocean water if we're expecting tropical cyclone formation or maintenance. That will kill a tropical system, folks. And there you have it. Now you know about tropical cyclone formation and the ingredients that make it so. Also, you should know that on July the 31st in 2008, NASA's Phoenix Mars lander confirmed the presence of frozen water just below the Martian surface, which was a major milestone in the search for extraterrestrial habitability. You need water on a planet, or some way to get it there if you're going to inhabit such a planet. And they found frozen water. One place they would never find frozen water in the wintertime is at Cold Rain's house, where it always seems to be 33 degrees with cold rain falling. Hence the name Cold Rain. Well, there you have it, folks. Hope you've had a good time today. I've had a good time talking about the weather for you. Let me know if there's anything I can be in prayer for. And anyway, please continue to pray for my son. Cold drizzle. He's got a root canal appointment next Monday. I hate that for him. But in any event, that's what's going on. That's life. Things happen. We're there to encourage and support each other. And I hope we do that here on this channel. Hope you find that a place for a place for that. Hope it's fun for you. Anyway, have a great day. And as always, Cold Rain reminding you, others channels run 24/7. We got you covered right here, right now, 48:14. Take care, everybody. Bye.